Dear friends, well-wishers, and family of the two stars, Akhil and Ashwath. I confess, like the previous speakers, that to speak on an occasion like this is a daunting task. There are times when pain and the anguish run so deep that one finds it extremely difficult to express the innermost feelings in mere words. This, no doubt, is such a time. I have known Raghu for 40 years plus, and Anita for a smaller duration. I have enjoyed the hospitality of Anita's parents at their home when a few of us friends stayed in Coog as her brother Anil's guests in the late 1970s. My association with Akhil and Ashwath was rather brief, though I had heard much about these two promising young lads. When I met the boys individually last and sadly the first time, 6 months prior to the tragic event, my opening words were almost the same to them both. I said, "Have heard much about you both from time to time, and I think I know you well." And their individual responses were identical as well. They said, they know me too. Obviously, they knew me as the friend of their family. The boys and I forged an instant connection. They made an impact on people, no doubt. I now realize my wife, Ammu, and I missed something by not getting to know these two young lads, Akhil and Ashwath, better earlier. I've had glimpses of these two boys at Founders Day at Lovedale, where my children were studying as well. Akhil was my daughter's classmate at school. He was outstanding by all accounts and would have gone far with his deep commitment and his passion for the medical profession. Recently, when I was at Raghu's and Anita's place, I went through some of the letters Akhil's friends and colleagues had written after the tragic incident. I was moved genuinely, and the touching tributes from close associates was something. They meant to Akhil, to them, was a great source of inspiration. Sadly, I got to know Akhil better only then. When Ashwath and I had a long chat, I asked him about his plans. He said, "I will tell you all about it." Then he winked and said, "But do not share it with Dad, and I trust you." Later, when we were about to part, he said, "Uncle, from what I've heard, I expected you to be a boisterous person, but you're sober as I understand." He then flashed a naughty grin, which I've noticed in most of the photographs. I was delighted to hear that comment from Ashwath that day. Ashwath had clear convictions and an admirable outlook in life. The book he authored, When God Bowls a Googly, celebrates the human spirit. To me, he came across as a person whose spiritual beliefs had total clarity. Ashwath was the kind of a person who would never ever miss an opportunity, and I'm amazed the way he chose to go with his brother Akhil. The full import of what had happened on the 17th of April has not really sunk in. One goes through a puzzling gamut of emotions, grief and despair at one end, anger and outrage at the other, a blank fury at the sheer unfairness of life. Why take the innocent young? We ask ourselves, groping to make sense of life. Mercifully, at such times, gentler thoughts intervene. Akhil and Ashwath enriched our lives during their short sojourn in this world. They achieved much. Perhaps they could have achieved more in their own chosen paths. They had a long way to go, but God decided otherwise. Though it's easier said, let us not rage against fate. Their lives were brief candles which shed lambent light. We should measure a life not by its length, but by the fullness of its love that radiated so abundantly from the two lovely children, Akhil and Ashwath. The two inseparable brothers moved to a better world at a young age for reasons unknown to any of us. God's ways are mysterious, and I presume this is the time to pause. This is the time to think. This is the time to put our hands together and to say, God, we know the two are under your divine care. I believe in the life beyond our lives in this world. If it is not so, our life here has no meaning. I also sincerely believe that someone we love always remains with us in spirit. Memories of shared times and soulful companionship are never forgotten. I think we all live in hope, and I find hope in the words of the mystic poet Rumi. He wrote, "Somewhere beyond right or wrong, there's a garden. We will meet you there someday." Thank you.